You have to understand, what you have to understand is that we just got started. Like, understand that we did this, like, the work to start doing this 2016, 2017, 2018, full throated all the way in 2019, changed the whole conversation. Now understand that this is just ADOS. This is not an enormous group. This is not the majority of black people. Understand what happens if we get not even the majority, like a bigger minority. You don't need the majority for anything. You never need the majority for anything. The majority is always crazy. You need a loud and committed minority. That's what you always need. And you have to full throatedly advocate for yourself before you even do partnerships with other groups or other immigrant groups or Hispanics. You have to full throatedly advocate for yourself and your interests. And then say, these are my interests. Now show me what your interests are and show me how these two things can align in some sort of a Venn diagram, right? You have to do it that way. If you don't do it that way, then you just kind of miss out. You just can't go on, well, like this is a good thing to do. No, these are my things, these are my things. Okay, so maybe we can do an exchange. Whatever. Like, that's how deal making work. Deal making is like, I'm just gonna do the right thing for everybody. That's not how it works. So 310, what's going on?
What up? What up? This
What up,
is Tom
Tom?
Talks in the building. Great show, man. I wanted to talk about a couple of things. First thing I wanted to do was I wanted to see if you could bring up, shout out to, I think, 60 to God. He be doing these great images. And I just want you to bring up one of the images, the one with the image of the slave statue. And we need to continuously remember that slavery wasn't 1,000 years ago. We're talking about, 4 generations back, 3 generations back, maybe even sooner if you count like hidden slaves throughout the 40s and 50s. And I think that for a lot of us, that's a hard thing to swallow and digest because we've been sold a bag of goods about we don't want to see no more slave movies. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think the other thing I kind of think we have to digest too is as you put up those numbers, for a lot of people, that the hard thing about it is that we've been talking in the word million so long, we don't understand that that's a lot of money. So, like when you saw when you put those numbers up, somebody who might not even have $1,000 in their bank account, a black person, I'm talking about us, ADOS, that literally kind of live on fantasy money, will say that's not a lot of money and don't understand $1 million is $1 million, whether you're a billionaire or millionaire or somebody that doesn't have any money, is still $1 million. And I think for us, we've never. So you'll have somebody who never donated to a political campaign and also doesn't have $1,000 in their bank account that would have watched like that segment that you had and not understand that $1 million runs politics. Now I'm not saying it gets you a president, but it gets you in play at the presidential stage. So just imagine what it does locally. And I think so many of us really have only now become uninformed in terms of the wealth condition of America. And if you can pull up that double chart, because I just want to go through that real quick because it's important. I've covered it now twice. You got to understand that we've been showing you numbers and telling you that the bottom half of the race is worth less than $1. But that's not really altogether the whole truth. That's just a part of it. The reality is that the bottom half of black America is worth probably about negative $140 billion. But the thing is, the moment is to talk about wealth inequality as if it's the same. When I say the double chart, I sent you one with 2, the white wealth spread and also the black-white wealth spread. When you look at the white wealth spread, it looks just like the black wealth spread in terms of the top 10% has 75% of the wealth, just like our group. But the difference is they're splitting about $100 trillion. I mean, they're splitting about $100 trillion. They're splitting about $100 trillion. So each percentile of the white group is worth about $1 trillion. Whereas when you look at the black chart, it only splits $3 trillion. So the top 10% that has 75% has 2.25 of that trillion. And the rest of the race is living on $775 billion, which is next to nothing. That's from the top 90% down. And that's the chart that Yvette has up now. You look at the white chart is on the top, black charts are the bottom. It looks similar. One of the main differences that you see is that the white chart gets positive right at the 20th percentile. Black chart doesn't get positive till the 40th percentile. In addition, like I said, the bottom chart, the white chart is splitting nearly $100 trillion. Black chart is splitting $3 trillion. But we live in the same neighborhoods, and we buy the same schooling, and we buy the same cars, and we want the same retirement, and we're owed money. And I'm saying this to you because the context of what Kamala and Booker represent is an ignoring of that reality, and ignoring of the consequence of our blackness, of our lineage, on our direct lives today. But see, you can do that if you Kamala, because you was born of an Indian woman, a Brahmin Indian. And I think that, not enough questions have been really asked about the wealth level of her Indian family in India. Because that will tell you a lot. Then you have the AKAs, a group known for, and I'm not trying to pull any slight, but being boule in a sense, and they're coming back in her instead of talking about the condition of black folks. So that's a whole nother question. And so, the other thing I want you to pull up is that timeline chart, because Six to God did that as well. Great, beautiful graphic. But it puts into context, and we've shown you a version of this. This one is even more beautiful. It puts into context that you got to understand that, with Kamala in particular, and Bernie included, and Trump included, their families got here basically on the second bar of this chart. Their families, Kamala's whole family came to America in the last two bars of this chart. The 1900 and the 2000. Bernie's family came here around the same time. Earlier than Kamala's, but I'm saying still in the 1900 block. Our family's been here since 1600. None of these people running can tell us anything other than cut my check. And I think for a lot of us, we've never thought of ourselves having that kind of power. And if you don't think about that, think that way at your own home level, how you going to bring that to politics? And so, I just say to all of us, one of the things that we got to get aware of this moment is that this is the moment. And if you don't get wealth, if you don't get a recognition that you're demanding wealth, you can forget it in America, because this country is on speed skates, and wealth is dominant. And what's happening now is I don't think that we understand that our generation was sent to college without, our boomer parents oftentimes sent us to college, whether right or wrong, whether they knew it or not, and let us pick up the debt that's a family debt. But you're not going to be able to do that with your kids. And you can't feed them, you can't transition them with just potential no more. So a lot of y'all got kids graduating from Howard or Tuskegee or even UCLA. And then they come home and they got to drive Uber and they can't get a job. And they're doing the same thing they would have done before college. And I'm saying to you, I'm here to say that ain't going to happen. Not on my watch. And you got to say that too. The last chart I want to pull up is just the yellow one that he did. It's a great one he sent to me this morning. And it really gives the context of this is the moment, because what we're telling everybody, we voted Democrat and we want to vote Democrat, but give us a reason not to stay home, not to vote down ballot. And in some cases, a lot of ADOS are saying, vote right. I'm not saying that I advocate that, but they have their right to believe that. But if you give me something where I can say voting right is absolutely the wrong decision, now I can stand on something. A lot of y'all came in the comments of, a lot of y'all watched the Killer Mike video. I appreciate the support. Again, it's still 98% like 2% dislike, something like that. But at the same time, a lot of y'all don't understand two components. You cannot ask of me and Yvette, who have radio shows that predate ADOS, who have lives that predate ADOS, to do more than you would do yourselves to sacrifice. So, when I have this man on my show who has come down to the Angela Project and showed nothing but respect, when Yvette calls into my show and shows respect to a man that drove 2 hours to the Angela Project, I first see a black man before I even see a Bernie supporter. I second see a black man that drove 2 hours to come support Angela Project. But third, I see a way to get Bernie Sanders to come recognize Adolf and get in front of him to have a discussion, because so often these people have never discussed anything with anybody but Joy Reid or Brianna Joy that's in her camp. They haven't talked to nobody like Tom Talk. Let me do my work. You do whatever you're doing, and I've said this before, at your house or in your space. My thing is it's not always about just being adversarial for the sake of being adversarial. We telling everybody, get your together. You got this many months. We demanding a black agenda, a reparations package, because we've been here. We don't want to hear about DACA. I don't have no family outside the country, and we don't want to hear about the border. I'm not here for the moral discussion of how you treat them. I'm not asking you to treat them worse or better. What I'm saying is I need you to treat black people in this country as top of the food chain, and that's my demand. I just wanted to come in and just shout out like that. Thanks, Yvette.
No problem, no problem. Thanks, Tone, as always, for calling in. I appreciate it. And those of you who haven't checked out Tone's show from Friday, I called in too. It was a good show. People had a lot of diverse opinions. So please, if you have not gotten the opportunity to check it out, please check out his show from Friday. It was an interesting show. Yeah, I think, like, you know, we don't want to do hierarchy, but I think we got to really discuss where we belong in the American hierarchy. And it's kind of up top. I think one of the things that we have to do, in terms of what the caller said, you have to work with the people that you can work with, and motivation and intention matters to me. Now, if I ever get to a point where I think somebody's motivation is off, or they have disguised intentions or whatever, then that's a different thing. But I have not seen that with Killer Mike. He talks about us in spaces where he's not required. There's no kind of a thing that you know, we don't have any kind of agreement or financial. He does that out of the fact that he feels the way he feels, and he drove to Birmingham. We had a good one-on-one conversation, and like, so this is where I am. This is where I am, and I think we can't be in a position where we just try to close people off and we're not going to talk to this person. No. Like, when people have good intentions and they're doing the right thing for you or by you at that moment, you do that. Like, I don't think you get anywhere by just being like, no, I ain't going. Oh, goddamn it, I tell you, I ain't going to do it. What are you talking about? Who does that? Like, we're moving in a space. And then the thing is, let me just say this too. Part of our job, fam, is not just to downgrade or berate people, but part of our job is to influence people. Like, part of what you have to do is influence people to go in the direction that we feel they should politically go. And so, to the extent that some people aren't there, you know, I assess myself and I say, well, that could be a failure of my ability to influence. And I try to correct that. I'm always kind of self-correcting and self-aware. What am I doing wrong not to influence this person? You're not going to influence everybody. I told you that about the man, his family. People be crazy. But I always try to tweak it and say, what can I do? And I think with the people that we deal with, whether they be regular, celebrity, whatever, I think we have to talk about, okay, how can we move to influence people to come more in our direction? And I saw Killer Mike already there. You don't got to come drive to Tone Talks. You don't try to drive to Birmingham. But he did that. And when people do that, that's a signal. Okay, that's a good thing. And we have to keep moving with those people in that direction, especially when they come from where we come from. That's my opinion on it. We can disagree. I'm not upset. I'm not upset with disagreement at all. Anyway, I'm going to 916. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette.
Hey.
This is Vivian and Darnell calling from Sacramento, California.
What's going on?
Well, we're real proud of what you're doing on the show.
You.
And you show black excellence.
I appreciate it.
And just want you to know we're real proud of you. I do have a concern, and I just wanted to see how you felt about this.
Okay.
Okay, so what it is I wrote it down trying to get it straight. Currently, history is showing that having large amounts of wealth is not a solution for ADOS to be protected from prison. Example like Bill Cosby and other celebrities, Michael Jackson, who had big money. So they weren't protected from going to prison because they had wealth. And I look at prison as an extension of slavery. So how do you feel about having all ADOS prisoners released included as a form of reparation and time served?
Well, here, let me just address something. The first part of what you said, then I'll address kind of the second part of what you said. I don't think having wealth as an individual is a solution from prison, right? You have to have what they talk about in terms of social capital. So what has to happen is that you and the judge are friends. You have the best attorneys. You and the people around you who decide who goes to prison, those are your people. There's see the people who don't go to prison, they're not bottom caste. See, the bottom caste, there's already been a decision made. This is who's going to go to prison. They knew before, like when you look at those crack laws and how they were like 90% us, they knew that beforehand. So it's not about whether or not you as an individual has money, because you don't have anybody. Like I'm not, and Bill Cosby did a lot of stuff wrong, but I'm just saying Epstein's in court now too. What I'm saying is that there's no social capital. But the second part of what I'm saying, and I agree that both of them should be in jail. The second part of what I'm saying though is this. In terms of what you just said, I think about releasing people. The problem with just releasing all black people is this. They're going to release these people back into your and my community. Nobody has done any therapy with these people. Nobody has trained them about how to go back to work. Nobody has secured a job for them. Nobody has done the work to make sure that these people are, because prison is horrible. I mean, in terms of like prison is, there's a reason why Khalif Browder committed suicide after prison, and it wasn't just because of him, it's because of what he went through in there. Some people spitting in his food, and he was abused. It's a horrible place to be. So like, I don't think you get to do any of that. And I'm not saying that it's wrong, but you have to do the work. See, people love to do stuff and be like, yeah, I'm going to just throw these prisoners back into black neighborhoods and see how they like it. You have to do the work for that prisoner to come home as America. You have to do the work with therapy. You have to do the work to make sure that prisoner has, their ex-prisoner has some place to go to work, to take care of their family, to take care of themselves. Because you put them in jail, you got to do that work to give them the opportunity to be a good citizen again. I'm in favor of that kind of thing as long as America does the work to make sure that that person is okay and hasn't just been trained in prison how to be a predator on their own community. Because you learn a lot of things in prison. You might be a decent person when you go to prison, and you might not be when you come out. I need America to do the work to make sure that when these ex-prisoners come back into the community, that they're okay. And then some people need to be in jail. Like if you've been raping women or whatever, like you need to stay there. You can't, you a serial rapist, stay where you at. I understand that something might have made you that way, but I don't want you here. You done raped 8 women or what? I don't know. Stay over there. You a serial murderer? Maybe I can't redeem you. I don't know. But I need, in terms of the prisoners that come home, America needs to do the work to make sure that they're able to come home and be a benefit to their communities.